All of you know that Ned and I were great friends, and that I thought he was one of the finest governors and most dedicated public servants I ever knew.
His wise leadership made it possible to bring together diverse groups and make decisions that served all Tennesseans, not simply the most powerful or influential. Ned McWherter was the finest governor that we have ever had in the state of Tennessee.
Ned Ray McWherter was one of Tennessee's most successful and best-loved governors. But where did he come from? What kind of person was he? And what did he do to be so well-loved?
They just kind of think I'm a teddy bear, and they love on me and I like it.
The story of McWherter's life is a simple story. He was a countryman with straightforward values. Be honest, work hard, and treat people right. McWherter had a heart for people, and they knew that. America was a nation of deep Christian faith when McWherter was growing up. This was especially true in rural areas like Weakley County in northwest Tennessee, where McWherter was born. His mother, Lucille McWherter, was a devout Christian and the greatest influence in her son's life. McWherter's family were sharecroppers. Money was scarce, so by example and experience, McWherter learned another childhood lesson. Be responsible, even wise, in how you spend money. Young Ned Ray attended a one-room schoolhouse with a wood-burning stove and students from the 1st through 8th grades. The little ones sometimes got a ride to school on horseback when it was too wet to walk. McWherter's parents were hard-working, and by the time he was in high school, they had risked all they owned to buy a restaurant near the courthouse square in Dresden. The restaurant was a great success, and it was here in the family business that McWherter learned more all-American values: how to work hard, treat every kind of person with respect, and understand the challenges working families face. Lessons that would prove invaluable when in a few years he risked starting a business of his own, and then years later in politics. McWherter was a natural leader. In high school he made the Honors Club, was vice president of his senior class, and president of the Future Farmers of America, where he first used the parliamentary skills he would one day again use as Speaker of the House of Tennessee.
My father had a great sense of humor. He got it from his father, and he got his work ethic from his mother. There's no question about it. They both instilled in him the desire to be treated fairly and to treat other people fairly as well. And I believe that was a fundamental Christian belief that allowed him to be so successful in everything he did.
McWherter loved playing football in high school and wanted to play football in college. But when a knee injury made that impossible, he decided to find a job instead. Starting as a traveling shoe salesman working out of the trunk of his car, within 15 years he had tremendous success in several businesses, including beverage distribution, trucking, banking, hotels, and farms. McWherter's outstanding leadership in the business community built his reputation, so his friends encouraged him to run for public office. McWherter had considered this before, but it was his love for his grandmother that led him to take the leap into politics.
He had a grandmother that he loved dearly, and two other friends of his had grandmothers, and they could not find a nursing home in our area that they felt suited for them, so they got together and decided they'd build their own. And later they went to a statewide nursing home meeting, and Mr. Ned was sharing his concerns, and they told him that he didn't know what he was talking about. So he went home and decided that this was a turning point in his life and that he wanted to get into politics to help the elderly and all the people of Tennessee have a better life quality.
McWherter won his first campaign. Quickly earning the respect of his peers, just 4 years later, McWherter was encouraged by a group of young rural delegates to run for Speaker, to challenge the political disputes that were poisoning state government. Politically, this was extremely risky. McWherter only won in the Democratic caucus and then in the House of Representatives by 1 vote each time. But against this backdrop of mistrust, partisan bickering, and governmental deadlock began one of the most successful periods in Tennessee history. Ned McWherter would serve as Speaker of the House of Representatives for 14 years. In 1986, McWherter was elected governor for the first of 2 terms.
Ned McWherter, he knows the way.
Yesterday's values, we keep them. Tomorrow's jobs, we get them. Ladies and gentlemen, swear me in at 10 o'clock in the morning. Give me a cup of coffee and 4 vanilla wafers, and I'll be ready to go to work. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
McWherter knew and loved people in all 95 counties, and he wanted all of them to have a fair shot, not just those living in urban areas. And he knew for this to happen, every county in the state needed access to good schools, good roads, and affordable health care.
Ned McWherter was a good person in the truest sense of that word. He was honest, he was caring, and he really deep down loved his state. And that came through. The people of Tennessee loved him. And because they loved him, they liked their government. Ultimately, they viewed him as one of them. He did not try to put on pretenses. He was from rural West Tennessee, and it came through obviously in the way he talked and in his fundamental culture. Ned McWherter will probably be remembered as one of the greatest governors in Tennessee's history. And when you ask yourself why, you probably need to reflect back on what he tried to represent, the notion that we should have a government that's honest, that we should have a government that always tries to balance its budgets in good times and hard times, that you have a government that's brave enough to try to bring opportunity and hope to those who have neither.
Ned McWherter will go down in history as being not only the greatest governor, but the greatest public servant Tennessee has had. He was not by a long shot a perfect man, but he was on a perfect mission. He had love for all people, and he wanted to make a difference. And I'm often reminded of the scripture in Mark that says that, and the common man heard him gladly. That was Ned McWherter all over again. He stepped outside the box and he appointed the first African American to chair a major committee in the South. And he also appointed the first Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, making him the first in the South.
It was clear to anyone and everyone who met him that he loved everybody. He started from the basic premise that every human life and every human being was worthy of that love. He was especially concerned about the people who had been left behind, people who had been left behind in his own upbringing and in the cities that he had not lived in but knew about. He was the smartest politician that I've ever met. But more importantly, he had a sense of what people could and should be that allowed him to take that knowledge and advance an agenda that transformed Tennessee and everybody in it forever.
Ned McWherter was a great American. We've not seen his like before or since, from my perspective. I have covered 7 governors, 3 before Ned McWherter, 3 after Ned McWherter, and of those, he was unquestionably the most open in his dealings with the press. He was an admirable fellow. I miss him.
Ned was so multifaceted, and as he moved from speaker to governor, he really introduced some splendid things for the state. He supported TPAC because he thought it was a good thing for Tennesseans of all ages. He thought that it was going to be an enhancement for life in Tennessee, and especially for people that were the least prosperous, people who could not afford to hop on an airplane and fly to New York or London. Well, since our inception, we have brought in 1.5 million children. We're very proud of this, and the beautiful part is that many of these people are now adults, and they're coming back and bringing their own children.
Well, one thing Ned always talked about was we needed all 95 counties to participate in our economic progress. We had 42 counties that had had historic unemployment of 13% or more. And he knew that we needed to get industry to look at those communities as well as our urban centers. And so our challenge was to improve the infrastructure, improve the education, improve access, again, where people love living, but they didn't have access to a good job. And he had to do that through new policies and new programs that he put in place in many of our more rural communities. First thing he did was make a commitment that every county would have access to our major network of interstate highways. He knew that that would help attract new capital, new jobs, and he did that all across every rural community.
His vision for Tennessee, in an overarching sense, was the effort to create an economic foundation where all the counties in Tennessee at least had a reasonable shot in sharing in the state's economic growth. To do that, it was imperative that we change the way we funded our schools, to give money based on a community's relative ability to pay so that the poor schools in communities would have the same opportunity as the more wealthy ones. And the fact that he was able to pass this initiative in Tennessee is a lasting testament to the skill that it required to make it happen.
Ned Ray McWherter, as Speaker of the House in Tennessee, realized the lack of physician, primary care, health care delivery in East Tennessee. Because of him, we now have a flourishing medical school in East Tennessee. One of the things that Ned Ray McWherter did when he was governor was to initiate in 1994 Tenn-Care. ETSU and its College of Medicine was the first public institution in Tennessee to step to the forefront, and we said in 1994, Governor, we will get it done. And to this day, we have served hundreds of thousands of Tenn-Care patients. We're privileged to do so.
Well, Governor McWherter supported the implementation of Tenn-Care for two reasons. One, which he always put ahead of most things, was the responsible management of the finances of the state of Tennessee. Secondly, Governor McWherter ran for office on improving access to health care for the average Tennessean, giving them access to affordable health care. Tenn-Care served both of those objectives and achieved both of those objectives. Tenn-Care saved the state about $2 billion.
After 26 years, the time has come for me to stand on the hill and reflect a final time.
The governor came home, and he was unlike many other governors. He wanted to come home. He wanted to come back to the people of Weakley County. We had the office opened every day. He served the people of the county and the state. And one of the ways he helped them in our county, he built a public library for the children of Dresden and Weakley County. Totally gave it to the county. And then he built a new distributorship, and in doing that, he gave the old distributorship to the Weakley County Board of Education.
Sometimes we forget that Ned was a son of Tennessee and that he never forgot it. He was proud of where he came from, and he was proud of the state in which he was raised. He understood its history. He knew who Andrew Jackson was, and his life really reflects the best of what Tennessee politics has been from Andrew Jackson till right now.
Something that he would never talk about, but which I know he was extremely proud, was that in the last 2 years of his administration, Tennessee was voted the best managed state government in the United States. And the last year as governor, he was voted the best governor in the United States.
We have an enormous amount of conflict going on in the political world. Ned McWherter always believed that there was a way to find a compromise, a middle ground that would serve the interests of Tennesseans at the same time, not require someone to abandon their own principles. And he was a master at doing that.
Everybody trusted him. And because we trusted him, we knew if we followed him to the high ground and stayed there with him, we would all be fine and the state of Tennessee would be fine. And that's what he did. With Democrats and Republicans, West Tennesseans, East Tennesseans, city people, rural people, we trusted him and we followed him to the high ground.
Look at these trees. No, I remember when they put them out. They grow strong. This community has got good dirt and good people. And these trees grow strong and this county grows strong. And the people of Tennessee grow stronger every year and better. So I'm looking forward to the generation of children that's growing up today. I want to be sure that things that we accomplished, the differences that we've made together, all of us, are lasting. The roads, the education, the health care, jobs and opportunities. Continue to build on those in this next generation and the generation that follows. Well, I want the children to know that you can serve in public service and be honest. And the biggest contribution that a political person can make is to protect the public trust that the people have in their government. Thank you very much.